You are Locked On Longhorns Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Dallas, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Here we go. Welcome to the Locked On Longhorns Postcast, your home for the best Longhorns coverage. My name is Jeff Biggs, longtime host and reporter. Great to be with you. Thank you for watching Locked On Sports Dallas, your destination after every single game. You can also find us on the Locked On Longhorns podcast feed. And what a win tonight for number 3 Texas. They get it done at Texas A&M. The rivalry is back, and the Longhorns come out on top tonight by the final of 17-7. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So much to talk about after this one tonight. Congratulations to Steve Sarkisian and the entire Texas team after they get the win tonight, 17-7 at Texas A&M. What a game, what a finish, what what a result. And I think we have to start with kind of the beginning and the end. I think it's only fitting that this Texas defense, the number 1 defense in the nation, set the tone on that very first opening drive by getting the stop on 4th and 1. Only fitting that the Texas defense would also really preserve the game and bail out the offense and Quinn Ewers in the offense and hold on and get the win and preserve the win and let Texas get the W over A&M. A lot to talk about in this game. We're gonna dive into all the stats and all the info. It was the emotions were there, the hype was there, the talk was there. There were some good moments. There was a lot to take away from this game. So many different directions to go to, but like I said, I want to start with the job by the Texas defense, just to make sure that we give them the credits due before we get into the offense, because there's been so much talk about the offense, so much about Quinn Ewers. I know he was coming back from the ankle injury, and that was a storyline in and of itself. But in the meantime, with all the noise and all the talk about whether or not this Texas offense will be good enough, could they win it? Can they go to the big game? Can they win a championship with this offense? Very quietly, this Texas defense has not only played at an elite number 1 level, they've been able to stay at that level, and they came to play again tonight. And I just want to make sure that we tip our cap to them for the way that they played. They were outstanding, like I said, setting the tone with that 4th and 1 stop. Even then, after that, the Taft interception was huge. I mean, that really, really, really popped the balloon and really put A&M in its place early in the game and let them know. And to the defense's credit, they pitched a shutout. Yeah, it was 17-7, but the Aggies' only score was on the pick 6. So the Texas defense gets a true, legit shutout in this game. And like I said, the fact that they stepped up again and made some big plays all the big plays in the second half, credit to them. We'll talk more about that. We'll get into more of the numbers. I thought that the final 4th and 1 stop, though, and the penetration by Burke, that was one of the better. I mean, anytime you have a goal line stand, anytime you make a play like that on 4th and goal, it's always awesome, right? If you're the defense, it's always great. It's always a big play. But the way that that play broke down because of Burke and the defense was awesome. I was really, really, really impressed by that. And we've been talking about this really all season. Is just that when you have a defense like this Texas defense, you're going to have a shot. You're going to have a shot to win every single Saturday, every single game, and they proved that again tonight. Now for the offense. So where do you go from here? You go to Atlanta is where you go. but I know the narrative is not going to change a whole lot. Those questions about Quinn Ewers and how far he can take this team are still going to be out there. The tough thing is when you looked at the way Quinn played tonight, okay, 3 and out on the opening drive of the first half, right? That was a disappointment. But then after that, the defense really kind of set the tone and really helped them settle down. And I thought once that opening drive was out of the way, I thought Quinn Ewers played, I don't want to say it was his best half. I mean, certainly numbers wise, maybe it wasn't his best half, but he played a really, really good, excellent, high level first half of football. I mean, the throws that he made, the plays that he made, and we'll get into some of those more specifically. And for me, the big takeaway for me was, okay, big plays, Texas offense dominates, had those 3 big drives, right, in the first half. Defense did their thing, but the Texas offense was really able to get going. They were able to impose their will, had some big plays by Ewers running the ball, the Arch Manning play, the deception, right? I mean, they were doing pretty much everything once. Some big plays to Golden. I mean, Gunnar Helm had some big grabs. They were converting on third down. Everything was kind of rolling for that Texas offense. And you're like, okay, they're in control, had to settle for a field goal at the end of the first half. And you're thinking, okay, but man, they're rolling. And what I was looking for, I was really hoping for Texas, for the offense to come out of the locker room, get the ball to start the third quarter, and really, really put an exclamation point on that game, not only for the game itself, but for the unit, right? I mean, you have a chance here. You're on the road. You're playing your rival in their house. I mean, what better way to silence that crowd and rip their hearts out if you dominate, just dominate, turn it into a blowout, and just execute your offense. And unfortunately, it was just the complete opposite of that. The second half was terrible. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. There's no way to spin it for this Texas offense. And like I said, it certainly didn't do anything as good as those throws were, and the catches too. I mean, the catch by Blue in the end zone was spectacular. As good as all that was in the first half, I mean, the second half was ugly, and that's being kind. And it's just going to fuel all those rumors and all those doubts and all those concerns about what happened. I don't know what it is, man. Maybe it's going to be a situation where they have a bad first half and maybe they have to play with fire and come back in the second half. I don't know. For whatever reason, I know a lot's been made about who Texas has played against and who the competition has been. And for whatever reason, though, they just can't. The offense has not been able to have just that perfect game. Now, I say that, and we're talking a lot here about Quinn, right? But I want to be fair, because Quintravion had a spectacular game. I mean, a monster game. 10 carries, 67 yards in the first half, right, for Wisner. And then in the second half, when all is said and done, 33 carries for 186 yards. He also had a catch. He's had a catch in every game this season. But, man, he came to play tonight. And, last week we saw Jaden Blue, and then Jaden Blue fumbled again. And it was kind of Blue's game last week, and then he had the fumbles, and then Wisner came in. Well, Sark wasn't messing around tonight, and Wisner went off and was just a beat. I've said before, I like Blue. He's really slippery, but I'll tell you what, Wisner was he was excellent tonight. He was slippery, he was speedy, he was quick. I mean, he looked like a man among boys. I mean, he just was waiting for the runs to happen, waiting for the runs to develop, and he was excellent. And also, too, the Texas, I don't want to overlook these guys as well. The Texas offensive line was outstanding. I mean, they dominated this game. As much as I don't want to take anything away from the Texas defense, but the way that the Texas offense played was lights out. I mean, they dominated, and they have to feel really good about the way that they really manhandled a pretty good A&M defense in this game tonight. So, tell you what, when we come back, I'm going to talk more about the second half and about the offense. We'll get into that. Also, we'll talk about some of the highlights, and then I think we need to kind of look ahead and not only look ahead to the SEC championship game, but I think kind of get into what do you do now if you're Sark? What do you do with the offense, and what's the mindset as you head into the rematch with Georgia? But hey, on a positive note, congratulations to Texas. They come into the SEC, have just an outstanding season. They're headed to the SEC championship game. Still have to win it. I mean, they still have to beat Georgia. They still have to win the rematch, and that's not going to be easy, especially in Atlanta in that dome. But they went on the road, a lot of emotion. I mean, that pregame warm-up show that the Aggies put on. I mean, the kickoff was supposed to be at 6:30. I don't know what time the game eventually started, but that was a big show before the game, and they weathered all that and won a great football game, 17-7, capping off a very, very solid, impressive regular season. And now they get it. I mean, as bad as that Georgia game was, right? And we were all upset about it. They get a chance to avenge it. And, if you get to pick between those two games, if you can win the regular season game or the SEC championship game, you're going to pick the SEC championship game, and Texas is going to have a chance to do that. All right, got to talk to you about our friends at Game Time and what they've got going on right now. Maybe you were at the game tonight at College Station, Kyle Field. Maybe you want to go to the SEC championship game coming up. The great thing about Game Time is all-in pricing. Now, toggling this feature shows the total up front, and the great thing about Game Time is no surprise fees at checkout. So you think, oh, great, I found a ticket. I like the price, got a good deal. I'm ready to go. And then you go to check out and what am I paying all this for? No, none of that. Seat views. So you're looking at the dome. You're wondering, okay, are these good seats? Are they really bad? Are they good? Are they decent? Can I see good from here? Well, the great thing is with Game Time, you get panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And this is my favorite part, the lowest price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Can't beat that. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the industry. Can't beat that either. And again, it takes the guesswork out of buying tickets when you go with Game Time. All you do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. It's a good way to start. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Welcome back to the Locked On Longhorns Postcast show. My name is Jeff Biggs, longtime host and reporter. Great to be with you. Don't forget, this is Postcast coverage, right? We're on after the games now, but this has nothing to do with the great coverage every single day by Jonathan and what he does during the week, Jonathan Davis during the week. So be sure he'll be breaking down this game. He'll have all the storylines all week long as we get ready for the SEC championship game coming up in Atlanta. So again, that's on the Locked On Longhorns channel and Postcast. But again, we're on with you after the games. We'll be on again with you next Saturday after the rematch with Georgia. All right, so let's talk about the second half a little bit. Again, Texas gets the win 17-7, right? And they're going to face Georgia in the SEC championship game. Again, The Michael Taft interception in the first half, great. We'll go over the first half a little bit more. 17-0 though was the score at halftime, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, they had to settle for that field goal, but an opportunity to come out in the second half and really, really, really rip their hearts out, impose their will, and really finish, let the offense finish the game and dominate the game and finish on a good note and get ready for the, because this is the beginning of the playoff run with this game tonight for sure. Punt, though, on the opening drive, right? You had the interception dropped by Sorrell, okay? Great scramble for a first down on Texas's next drive by Ewers, right? Then he had another nice throw to Matthew Golden for 25 yards, and then the pick six. Now I know it was tipped, but it was not a great throw. It was not a great decision, and that guy Will Lee. I mean, that guy was all over the place in the first half. He was getting into it, trying to get his team fired up. Ends up with a 93-yard pick six, and you're thinking, okay, all right. So what happens? So they come back, they get the big 12-man penalty against A&M on third down. That was huge. I mean, that's a bad mistake for the Aggies. Quinn Ewers then fumbles on the 10 with second and goal. And again, just I get it. He was feeling good. His ankle was feeling better. Felt like he could run. Had that good scramble in the first half. But you got to be able to secure the football. You can't give it up there. Obviously, he knows that too. But that was brutal. And again, after the fumble, which was at second and goal, the defense makes a stop again. Then Texas A&M gets the blocked punt. And then finally, the Texas defense makes the big stop on 4th and 1. And again, I say credit at that point. You could tell Sark was like, okay, no more. We're not messing around here. My offensive line is dominating. Okay. And Contravion is having a monster game. So we're just going to run. And he basically just ran that same play to the right, in the right gap, pretty much the rest of the second half. And it worked. I mean, they ran the ball out. The Texas defense did the job, and the O-line did a phenomenal job. And again, what a monster game for Contravion, who ended up with 33 carries, 186 yards. So here's the thing. I think, I'm sure there were a lot of people looking at the game saying, okay, well, why doesn't he just bench Ewers right now and let's go with Arch? I mean, Arch, I have to say, when Arch came in the first half and got that touchdown, right? And how rare was that too? We had three overturned calls in the first half. I mean, you're lucky if you get one a game. And they had 3 in the first half, all went Texas's way. I mean, what a blessing replay is that it works when it works right. Both touchdowns and that hit on Makuba that was called for targeting. But I have to say, I give Sark credit when he brought Arch in for that run. And what a great run that was by Arch Manning. But that was great deception. And I don't think Texas A&M was expecting it. I was not expecting it. It was a nice surprise, and it worked really well. And the problem is you're at the point of the season now where, I mean, you've come this far, and trust me, Sark isn't stupid, and he knows what's going on, and they're gonna have some talks, and they're gonna have some things to work on. I say this all the time. I think sometimes when you have so much talent and you have so many weapons at your disposal, sometimes you can outthink yourself. You can almost think too much and overthink it. And sometimes you just need to just make plays, make first downs, and just keep the chains moving. keep your offense on the field. Don't. There's a time and a place to make certain plays, but you know what? When you're in control and you're dominating and you're trying to score and you're just trying to get your quarterback in a rhythm, just make it simple. Make it simple. Make it simple for Quinn Ewers. Make easy plays. Just easy plays for him to make first downs and easy throws and to get into the rhythm. And then a little bit down the road, then he can take your shot. But I don't know. Sometimes I watch as some of these games play out, and again, thankfully, the offensive line did a great job, and Weisner did a great job running the football. Now, here's the thing: if you're Sark and you're thinking about when do I stick? How long do I stick with Ewers? Do I make a change at some point? If the game would have gotten, if Texas A&M would have scored again, or if they would have taken the lead, I think without a doubt he would have made a switch. And I think the thing you have to realize at this point of the season, once you make that change, I mean, once you pull Ewers out and you make that kind of a switch, it's not like the regular season. There's, to me anyway, there you can't go back from that. Like if Ewers comes out, has a really bad first half and gets benched at halftime, and Arch comes back and they lead the win, then I mean that's it. He's the guy, I would think. So that's something that you have to consider. But I think, as good as that, I mean, the way that the first half played out, like to me, it felt like a boxing match. Like how many times do you get hyped up for a boxing match and you're hoping for a great fight, and Texas just completely dominated the first half. I mean, the defense set the tone with the stop and the pick, and the offense, even though they were only up 17-0, felt like they were in complete control, totally dominating. And for whatever reason, this Texas offense, they just have not been able to put teams away and just really go for the jugular. I know they tried to score there at the end of the first half, but like I said, I really thought they were going to come out of the locker room in the third quarter, and instead of really putting the game away and going for the jugular and ending the game in a blowout, it was just the opposite, and they let Texas A&M completely back into the game. And you don't want to play that way. You don't want to live that way, because you're going to go up against better competition, better offenses, and teams that are going to really make you pay. I'll tell you what, when we come back, I'll say something about the defense, and we'll talk a little bit about the matchup coming up. But Texas gets it done. They win tonight. They beat Texas A&M. Congratulations to the Longhorns for that win. Lots to talk about, lots to look forward to. And again, as good as that first half was for the Texas offense, because of the way that the second half and specifically the third quarter played out, I mean, if you're Sark, you have all kinds of teachable moments here now to get ready for Georgia and to get ready for the rematch. A lot of things to work on, a lot of things to look at, and to go back and say, okay. And it's opportunity too for Quinn Ewers to also reflect and say, okay, I got to do better. Can't turn the ball over. Can't try to make some of those throws, and certainly you can't fumble the ball. All right, we'll have our final thoughts, our final segment when we come back. This is the Locked On Longhorns Postcast. All right. You are ready for the NFL action coming up tomorrow, and you need to get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, welcome back to the Locked On Longhorns Postcast. My name is Jeff Biggs. Texas gets it done. Big win tonight at Texas A&M. I'm not trying to sound negative here. I mean, that was a huge win. Can't say enough about the Longhorns defense and the game that they played. The offensive line was right there. I mean, they were great. They really dominated. And Quintravion Wisner, 33 carries, 186 yards. Just a big win on the road to go into that environment with that crowd and to get the W. And again, I mean, the defense, they pitched a shutout. They got it done. They are the number one defense in the nation, and they looked the part, and they proved it tonight with their performance. And again, I think more than anything, you have to feel good that you're going to have a chance to win every game you play with that defense. But the offense is going to have to do better, and Quinn Ewers is going to have to do better. You can't, in these games at this level, obviously, I'm not saying anything that nobody else knows, but you can't turn the ball over. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the mindset is. It's going to be interesting to see if we might see more of Arch next week. Interesting to see how that game plays out, the rematch with Georgia and the SEC championship game. I'm looking forward to seeing this Texas offensive line and the great game they played going up in the rematch against that Georgia front seven. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that. And I'll say this about the Texas defense. We saw it again in the first half. Look, the Texas defense is dominant, and they showed that the entire game, and they've showed that the entire season. But in fairness, I mean, when you look at this Texas A&M team, I mean, they're not an offensive juggernaut, to say the least. And we got a little bit of a glimpse of it. And again, this was early in the game, but you could tell that early on that A&M, they did their homework, and they did a lot of really good scouting. They saw that when you go up against this Texas defense, at least between the 20s, there are going to be some little spots where you can have some openings underneath and between the zones. And they found those. They were able to pick up a few first downs with those plays. But the great thing about the Texas defense and great defenses, it's kind of looked upon as a negative phrase when you say bend but don't break. But to Texas defense's credit, they don't break. And I mean, that really is true. And you may pick up some first downs here and there between the 20s, but once you get close to the goal line, they really know how to buckle down. And as we saw with Michael Taft, they know how to get turnovers and get interceptions. So all that to say is that there's going to be some opportunities, and so it's going to be really important. Again, and I say this, I think the second half of tonight's game is just a great example. Really important that this Texas offense, I mean, they really are going to have to focus. As great as Wisner was, as great as the offensive line was, they really need to make sure that they obviously don't turn the ball over, but also really keep that offense on the field and let that defense stay fresh. Three and outs, bad decisions, that's just not going to cut it the rest of the way. Regular season's over. Now you're moving on to the playoffs. You got the championship game and hopefully more beyond that. But the offense is going to have to do better. And so I get it. There's going to be a lot of talk during the week. Again, as solid as that first half was for Ewers and the offense, and some of the throws and the catches were really special. I mean, I really thought at halftime, I thought, okay, as much as Quinn Ewers has been criticized, to his credit, coming even with the ankle injury, he came to play tonight, and he was playing at a very high level in the first half, specifically talking about Quinn Ewers. And in the second half, it was just not good. The pick, I know it was deflected, but it was still, not a great throw, not a great decision. And then the fumble, then you have the blocked punt. That wasn't his fault. But the offense is gonna have to do better. I don't know. Maybe with this Texas team, maybe it's just, they've been playing with the lead so often. It's hard. I've said that before. Sometimes for whatever reason, sometimes it almost seems better to be a little bit behind and then pull away a win late in the fourth quarter, as opposed to trying to hold on to a lead the entire game. I don't know why that is, but it just seems to be the case for everybody. But with that said, you don't want to tempt fate. You don't want to play around like that, and you certainly don't want to give a better team with a better offense opportunities and momentum and all those things. So a lot to look forward to, but hey, at the end of the day, it's what's on the scoreboard. And at the end of the day tonight, the end of the game tonight, the Texas defense got the shutout. Texas got the win 17-7. And for all the talk about the emotions of the rivalry, it was great to see the Horns and the Aggies back on the field again tonight after the 11 years. Long overdue. It's about time. Something we should be excited about, look forward to. And if you're a Texas fan, that was a very to go on the road in that environment on a Saturday night with everything on the line. They came to play in that Texas defense. I mean, they can't give them enough credit. I mean, they really they set the tone. They controlled the game and did not let it get away, despite some really shaky moments from the offense. So props to them. They've been number one or at least close to number one, now number one for most of the season. And when everything was on the line, it's going to be on the line next weekend too, but it was all on the line tonight, and they came through. So props to the Texas defense. O-line, Wisner did great. And again, very solid first half for Quinn Ewers. Great to see Arch Manning with that run. That was a great run. And the fact that he was just able to break the plane like that to get into the end zone, that was special. The receivers made some nice catches. Gunnar Helm quietly, did his thing. And again, they got the win 17-7. All right. Jonathan Davis is going to be with you during the week. I will be back with you next Saturday after the SEC championship game. Cannot wait for the rematch. Again, it's a very positive night. Texas got the win 17-7. I think just because the second half was so ugly for the offense, but again, so good for the defense. I mean, they stepped up and they set the tone, and then they stepped up and preserved the win. And hey, you know what? Maybe the next game might not be great, and maybe the offense will have a big game, or maybe we'll see the offense down and have a second half comeback of their own and pull one out. I'll say this, my final thought, and I'll be done. But however it plays out, winning a championship is never easy. It's never about just one guy. It's never this. It's a whole bunch of things have to go right. That's why it's not easy. That's why you don't see repeats. That's why you don't see back-to-back champions very often. It's very easy, very difficult, and you need everybody, both sides of the ball, special teams. You need everybody to step up and get the job done. And when you begin a run like Texas is going to go on, it's all hands on deck. Obviously, everybody's going to have to step up and do their part. And most importantly, you want to play at that high level, and you don't want to beat yourself. And so we'll see. But I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait for the rematch with Georgia. Have a great week. Enjoy the win tonight. Enjoy the weekend. Congrats, though. Hey, what a great job. I mean, for Sark and this Texas team with all of the expectations and the hype. It's hard. It's tough when you're picked and you have all that hype. A lot of teams crumble under that pressure because and look, as bad as that Georgia game was, a lot of teams probably would have gone south, and that would have wiped out their season. But Texas, even after that Georgia loss, they came back, and they are in a great position. They're going to the SEC championship game, most likely the playoffs as well. And again, big win tonight. This was a huge game, huge win on the road to go at Texas A&M and to win the way that they did, 17-7. Again, great job for the team and especially the defense. All right, my name is Jeff Biggs. Thank you for joining us. I'll be back with you after the game next Saturday, after the SEC championship game. Thank you for listening and watching the Locked On Longhorns Postcast show. Have a great weekend.